And it's, of course, it's enormous expense. When you think of if you do 1,200,000 stents a year, it's a lot of money.
Right. I would imagine. So I guess that kind of answers the next question, which is, given the research that Michael Greger lays out, why do they continue to give so many stents? And I guess it's what you just said, which is there's a lot of money in it. Do you agree with that?
For years I've resisted that, but you see, what I have to say is that the power of whole food, plant-based nutrition to absolutely end this epidemic of heart disease is well known. But when you're going to do this and do it right, you have to educate the patient. And with all due fairness, many cardiologists will see so many patients per day that in 10 or 15 minutes, you're not going to be able to do this. And if you send them off to a dietitian who is trained by the food producers and doesn't really understand this, you're never going to get the patient to really have an opportunity to listen to a half hour or 40 minutes of what is the causation of this disease and how they can be empowered as the locus of control. By what they do, they can absolutely stop this disease. And it's and we have to be honest about it. There is, when you think of the financial compensation for a bypass or with a stent compared to talking to somebody about Brussels sprouts and broccoli, there's that's quite a difference.
Thank you. So when you mentioned during the I guess methods of things to avoid, you mentioned caffeinated coffee. And why is caffeinated coffee?
Yeah, that's a good question. I am impressed with the Italian study, and it goes like this. A group of healthy young subjects is asked to drink coffee with caffeine. Excuse me, they divide the group in half. Half of the group drinks coffee with caffeine, the other half drinks decaf, okay? Then after they've drank the beverage, they then have the brachial artery tourniquet test that I described earlier, which indicates the endothelial function. So they drink the beverage, they have the test, brachial artery tourniquet test for endothelial function, and then they switch groups. The group that previously had coffee with caffeine was now having decaf. The results, it was always the group that was having coffee with caffeine that injured endothelial production of nitric oxide.
So along those lines, there's a doctor, I'm not sure if you're familiar with his work, Dr. Daniel Amen, who has reviewed tens of thousands of brain scans. And we had one of our speakers, Dr. Josh Hellman, and they say that coffee and caffeine reduce blood flow to the brain up to 27 to 30%, which seems extremely high. Do you think that's a possibility?
Gosh, no, say that again.
So there's two people that I've seen say this. One is Dr. Daniel Amen, who he scans brains and does reviews on brain scans, and he scanned over a couple, I think like 20,000 brain scans. And then there's Dr. Josh Hellman, who is a speaker here at the conference, and they both say that drinking coffee, specifically caffeinated coffee, reduces blood flow to the brain
Well,
somewhere between 27 and 30%.
why would you want to do that?
No, they don't. They're saying don't drink. They're agreeing with you, right?
Yeah, I'm comfortable. I'm okay with that.
All right. So you think that's a possibility that it could decrease the blood flow like that? Okay.
No, I said I don't know the study on the brain. You brought that up.
Sure.
I was sharing with you the Italian study. Yes, I believe that. And I
Okay.
wasn't happy if to be more familiar, but and it doesn't. It seems that it's with what I just said that would fit with what those gentlemen have found as well.
So I think one of the more controversial things that you talk about within the whole food plant-based world is your take on nuts and seeds. Can you talk about that? Do you still believe that like if people are eating a whole food plant-based diet, they should not eat nuts and seeds?
Well, again, let's just talk about who how can I say this correctly? Nuts have a lot of saturated fat, okay?
Mm.
And that's one of the things we're trying to get away from. So when we started the program, it just didn't seem correct to have nuts and seeds. We do make an exception with if you want to put some flaxseed meal on your cereal, I think that's pretty clear that we accept that, or chia seeds. But that's pretty much it. Now there is a study that was often overlooked from the 1970s. Dr. I think it was Veselinovich from Chicago with rhesus monkeys, and they got three different types of oil: corn oil, olive oil, and peanut oil. And they fed these rhesus monkeys for a year. And then, unfortunately and sadly, they sacrificed them. And it was the rhesus monkeys that were eating peanut oil. Their arteries were just flooded with disease compared to the others. And so it's pretty hard to get peanuts without getting some peanut oil, which made me another reason that I felt caught. And also, I think the real test here is this. For those who are pushing nuts and seeds, have they done a study of patients seriously ill with heart disease and given them nuts and seeds and have the disease halted and go away? I'm unaware that it is such a study. Maybe you've got information on that.
I would have to ask Dr. Furman. He's somebody who's a big proponent of limited amount of nuts and seeds. So I don't have it handy right now.
I know Joel, and I think he does excellent work. Maybe we just have an honest divergence of opinion. But I have to say that I have to stand by our results because it works.
Now, with regard to the rhesus monkeys and the peanut oil, T. Colin Campbell always talks about whole foods being different than the sum of their components. And oil is a refinement of the peanuts. You remove all of the fiber, all the nutrients, etc. Is talking about peanut oil and then extrapolating that to peanuts a fair comparison?
Well, I think if let's just take an example. When you buy a jar of peanut butter and you unscrew the cap, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And what do you see? You see about a quarter or a half inch of peanut oil.
Yes. I mean, I tried as best I can to mix it in, but yes.
What do you mean? You mean does that
Tastes so good, doctor. So okay, so even still, you think that the oil, because it has such a high level of oil, you think that even with the fiber and other nutrients, it doesn't do enough to mitigate the damage of the oil in the nuts and stuff.